It's Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. Good evening and welcome to the daily happenings inside our federal machine. This is Spathon and it's time to plunge into the swamp to see what happened today. So the director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, she declassified more bombshell information showing that Obama ordered the creation of the Russia hoax, and former DNI James Clapper demanded that the intelligence community fall in line even when he received pushback. This is huge. Secretary Kristi Noem announced the state of South Dakota had just had their largest meth bust in state history. Treasury Secretary Scott Bissent is calling on a full-on ban of stock trading amongst sitting members of Congress. The Trump administration is back to building the wall, and we'll take a look at the progress of that. A big wildfire news. So far this year, there's been over 39,000 wildfires across the country. How many are currently ablaze? We'll check that out also. Even more big news today, the D.C. Circuit Court lifted the injunction preventing the Trump administration from cutting foreign aid to different entities outside the United States. What does that mean? It means that Trump can now withhold federal funding that's been designated to foreign organizations, and we'll get into those details too. And also, GE Appliances announced they are investing $3 billion with a B billion dollars into U.S. manufacturing, which will create 1,000 jobs. And of course, Adam Schiff and Eric Swallow, they're complaining and throwing temper tantrums at the Trump administration as usual. So that should be pretty fun to check out. And there's lots more to dig through, so we're just going to dive right in. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I just might read your comment on the next episode if you decide to drop one. So we're just going to start right here with N.W. Rain Judy. Trump scores huge court win in the battle over slashing foreign aid. I voted for this. Now, we're going to get further into this here in just a little bit. I saw this right before I started recording, so I figured I had to share this. It's technically not a government profile, but this is regarding the D.C. Circuit Court, the appeals court. They overturned it, which is now allowing the Trump administration to start cutting foreign aid, which was already earmarked, as far as I understand. All that foreign aid was already earmarked for dispersal back in 2024. And the day Trump got in, he put a stop to it, as well as the USAID debacle and all that, him cutting that administration down by 80% or something like that. So this is a detailed account on that. I tried to find something in more detail from a government profile, but I really wasn't able to find one in this much detail. So let's just go over this right here. So Trump scores a huge court win in battle over slashing foreign aid. I voted for this. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals handed the Trump administration another major victory on Wednesday after it lifted a district court's preliminary injunction prohibiting the government from cutting foreign aid for fiscal year 2024. The ruling comes after several entities, including the AIDS Vaccine Advocacy Coalition, the Journalism Development Network Incorporated, and others, they filed a lawsuit challenging the White House's cutting of foreign aid. Judge Karen LeCraft Henderson wrote the majority opinion, holding that the plaintiffs did not have a valid legal basis for suing the administration over this matter. Henderson explained that the plaintiffs could not base their case purely on constitutional separation of powers arguments when their complaints were centered on whether the Trump administration violated spending laws. She argued that they could not use the Administrative Procedure Act, or the APA, because the Impoundment Control Act already mandates that only the Comptroller General can file a lawsuit under the legislation. The conflict began when President Donald Trump signed an executive order on his first day in office instructing the State Department and USAID, not USAID, USAID, to pause new foreign aid spending. The purpose was to give his administration a chance to review each foreign spending program to determine whether it should be cut. And the answer almost exclusively in the case of USAID, yeah, cut it. So anyway, the link to full article will be in the comments, and this individual, she's replying to Jonathan Turley, and I'll just read his real quick. So the D.C. Circuit just handed the Trump administration another victory in tossing aside the injunction requiring the State Department to make foreign aid payments. It is only the latest district court to be overruled on these injunctions as invasive of Article 2 authority. So we probably won't get into the nitty-gritty details of the article because I'm assuming that she disclosed the most important details, but I'm at least going to bring it up so I can link it. Every single article that I open up in all of my videos, they're all linked below. You can look at all of them below. So this one's from townhall.com. So when you check in the description, it'll start with townhall.com if you want to read this further, because I probably won't have time to read it all, as I don't usually have time to read all of the articles at all, really, because, you know, I've got like 30 different things to get through and only a limited amount of time, man. I got a day job. I work 40 hours a week, just as you probably do, and everybody you know probably does as well. So, but I will try to get through as much as I can, and we'll just start here. So Trump scores huge court win in battle over slashing foreign aid. D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals handed the Trump administration another major victory on Wednesday after it lifted a district court's... Here, let me make this a little bigger. Let's see. Lifted the district court's preliminary injunction prohibiting the government from cutting foreign aid for fiscal year 24. The ruling comes after several entities, including the AIDS vaccine. Okay, so she basically already covered all that. So Henderson explained that the plaintiffs could not base their case purely on constitutional separation of powers. Yep, we got through all that also, even shared that. Oh, okay, so she basically just copy-pasted the article for the most part, except this part. Well, at least from here on. The conflict began when President Trump signed an executive order on his first day in office instructing the State Department and USAID to pause new foreign aid spending. And the purpose was to give his administration a chance to review each foreign spending program to determine whether it should be cut. U.S. District Judge Amir Ali issued the injunction after ruling that the administration's slashing of funding likely violated Congress's spending rules under the 2024 Appropriations Act, the Impoundment Control Act, and the Anti-Deficiency Act. He claimed the president's power to cut foreign aid was at its lowest ebb when he went against the legislator's will. What an asshole. Anyway, so however, Henderson rejected that argument, pointing out that the Supreme Court's 1994 ruling in Dalton versus Specter mandates that plaintiffs can't simply reframe a statutory dispute as a constitutional one to subvert legal limits on lawsuits. The count further noted that while the spending freeze would harm certain aid groups, they were not likely to win the lawsuit in the end. To be clear, the court did not rule on whether Trump's spending freeze is lawful or constitutional. It only decided that the policy shouldn't be blocked while it is being litigated in court. And so Republican lawmakers back in July, they tried to cut more foreign spending. In a 51 to 48 vote, the Senate approved a package that would eliminate about $8 billion in foreign aid while canceling $9 billion in previously approved funding. Thank God. The plaintiffs have not yet indicated whether they will approve the ruling. And this legal battle will be one to watch closely amid the debate over foreign spending, yada, yada, so on and so forth. That's the gist of it. So, yeah, I mean, the more they could cut of USAID, the better. The more of any foreign aid they could cut, the better, because we need to save all the money we can, because the Trump tax cuts are great. They're wonderful. They're awesome. However, they do come at a cost, and the cost is the national deficit. At least that's what I read, that by giving back so much money in taxes, they're essentially having to push other funding into the national deficit, because in order to cut taxes, while you have a government that's spending already more money than it's taking in taxes, well, the money's got to come from somewhere. The tax cuts that's going back to the American people, the government hasn't slashed enough aid to really to really account for it, the extra tax money that we're going to be getting. So it's little by little going to add to the national deficit over the next 10 years. And I think the number was somewhere around $3 trillion or $4 trillion. I was absolutely not happy with that when I read that. I don't know how many people know that the national deficit has to go up with the Trump tax cuts. I'm not saying I'm against it fully. Tax cuts are great. I'm just saying that when he cut the taxes, I think a lot more should have been done with Doge than actually got done. I know Doge saved hundreds of billions of dollars. It really did. And I think however much money that they cut with USAID and Doge and laying off thousands of employees across multiple different departments, however much they saved from all of those initiatives, they should have calculated how much money that was in total and then averaged how much that would account for each American. Then, of course, you've got the pay brackets, so it depends on how much money you're making, how much tax cuts you get. I just think they should have gone about it that way instead of just going at the easy way and just adding more money to the national deficit, if that's even true. I assume it is, because I actually think I got that from Grok, matter of fact. So, but Grok isn't correct all the time. Grok isn't God. Grok don't know everything. Grok can sometimes be an asshole too. All right, so let's go to the next one here. This is from DNI Tulsi Gabbard. This is the banger. This just came out 3 hours ago. Newly declassified top secret emails sent on December 22nd of 2016. It's complying with President Obama's order to create the manufactured January 2017 ICA about Russia expose, how DNI James Clapper demanded the intelligence community fall in line behind the Russia hoax. And then Clapper admits that it was a team effort, or team sport rather, quote, team sport, end quote, that required compromise on our normal modalities. And you could read for yourself below. I really wish I could get this a little larger. This is honestly the best I can do. Let me see if I can try. Let me see if I can do something here. Let me see if I could try to make this happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to try something. No, that's not happening at all. No, it's the exact same size. It's literally the same size. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. That's all right, though. You can go to DNI Tulsi Gabbard's profile if you want to read it yourself. I'm just saying that because most people are probably watching this show from your phone, and it's kind of difficult to read it. That's why I make all the other text and everything else that I read larger so you can actually follow along. At least that's the idea. But anyway, so this comes from the DNI Department of National Intelligence. The Director of National Intelligence. I'm sorry. Can you tell I didn't have much sleep last night? And I did have a lot of coffee though. Maybe I overdid my coffee, jacking up with my brain. All right. Anyway, Director of National Intelligence. I don't know why they would have redacted that. I mean, it was going to be James Clapper, right? Right. Anyway, from James R. Clapper, DNI, Thursday, December 22nd, 2016, 7:43 p.m. Let's see. It's being sent to Michael Rogers from the NSA and John O. Brennan and also James Comey with the FBI, USA, GOV, Stephanie L. O'Sullivan, DNI as well. And the subject is Russian response planning. Oh, they're planning the Russia collusion, huh? So Mike, John, Jim, understand your concern. It is essential that we, CIA, NSA, FBI, and ODNI be on the same page and are all supportive of the report in the highest tradition of, quote, that's our story and we're sticking to it, end quote. Holy shit. This evening, CIA has provided to the NIC the complete draft generated by the ad hoc fusion cell. We will facilitate as much mutual transparency as possible as we complete the report, but more time is not negotiable. We may have to compromise on our, quote, normal, end quote, modalities since we must do this on such a compressed schedule. This is one project that has to be a team sport. Jim. All right, so the next paragraph, that was really hard to read. I don't know why it's so faded. But anyway, from Rogers Michael S. from the NSA, being sent Thursday, December 22nd, 2016 at 7 o'clock a.m. So, okay, so this was the original message, as a matter of fact, because this was sent Thursday, December 22nd at 7 a.m. This one up here was sent December 22nd, 7:43 p.m. So this one was sent 12 hours, 43 minutes later. So this one must be the original. Okay, so I kind of read it backwards, but whatever. I'm American. I read shit top to bottom. All right, so Rogers Michael S., NSA, to James R. Clapper, DNI, and John O. Brennan and James Comey, FBI. And it was CC'd to Michael Rogers of the NSA. The subject, Russian response planning. And it says, Jim, John, and Jim, I've just returned from a TDY overseas and been updated on the current status of our efforts to produce a joint product related to Russian attribution and intent for the DNC/DCCC hacks. I know that this activity is on a fast track and that folks have been working very hard to put together a product that can be provided to the president, which of course was Obama. However, I wanted to reach out to you directly to let you know of some concerns I have with what I am hearing from my folks. Specifically, I asked my team if they'd had sufficient access to the underlying intelligence and sufficient time to review that intelligence. On both points, my team raised concerns. They were clear that, at the staff level, folks have been forward-leaning and trying to ensure that we have an opportunity to review and weigh in. But I'm concerned that, given the expedited nature of this activity, my folks aren't fully comfortable saying that they have had enough time to review ... all of the intelligence to be absolutely confident in their assessments. To be clear, I am not saying that we disagree substantively on the substance. I have trouble saying that word, but I do want to make sure that when we are asked in the future whether we can absolutely stand behind the paper, that we don't have any reason to hesitate because of the process. I know that you agree that this is something we need to be 100% comfortable with before we present it to the president, Obama. We have one chance to get this right, and it is critical that we do so. If the intent is to create an integrated product that is CIA, FBI, NSA, jointly authored, that we can all defend, we need a process that allows us all to be comfortable, and I'm concerned that we are not there yet. In addition, if NSA is intended to be a co-author of this product, I personally expect to see even the most sensitive evidence related to the conclusion. However, if your intent is to create a CIA-only or CIA/FBI authored product, then I will stand down on these concerns. I would welcome your thoughts on these points and any adjustments we might take to the process to ensure that we all have the necessary level of confidence in the final assessment. V/R, Mike, ADM Michael S. Rogers, USN, which is U.S., well, he's the commander of U.S. Cyber Command, director of the NSA, chief CSS, Fort George G. Meade, MD, USA, NET, yada, yada, all these credentials, all these acronyms after his name, classified by, so on and so forth. So that's it. That's the bombshell, man. They were planning it. They were coordinating with each other. The CIA, the FBI, the DNI, they were all working together. The NSA, that was the other one. So they were working in concert to fabricate the Russia collusion narrative. And of course, they used the Steele dossier as the primary substance for which they would create this Russia narrative. And according to this email, from what I understand, it sounds like it was at the direction of the president, or at the very least, they're piecing everything together to present to the president, who obviously is going to have to sign off on this, because otherwise, why would they say that they're going to hand it up to the president? They mentioned the president twice in this email, or these two emails at least. So that's it, man. That's the bombshell. And I've got a couple more posts with regard to this. A couple other people weigh in on this matter. So I don't know if it's really appropriate to get into the comments. I mean, I'm sure it's probably, yeah, like they need to be arrested. They need to be locked under the jail. This is treason. We need to build jails just for them, so on and so forth. Look, they weren't the only ones who were working on this. They obviously had a lot of foot soldiers underneath them that were putting a lot of shit together. It wasn't just the higher ups, just those 3 or those 4 individuals exclusively. There had to be a lot of other people working in the background on this. But yep, there's also Hillary Clinton and Obama, and the list goes on and on and on. Loretta Lynch is another one. All right, so let's see if I can get to the next one. This one's from Benny Johnson. Now, there's a lot of people who are reporting on this bombshell. I decided to go with Benny Johnson because I mentioned him yesterday, and I didn't have any posts from him yesterday. I usually don't have anything from Benny Johnson because he's not a government official. The only time you see something, blue checks or gold checks, that I read, it's typically reposted from a government entity, because I try to stick to government-only content because this is the swamp after all. But anyway, so this is Benny's take. Breaking: newly declassified emails reveal former DNI James Clapper told officials to bypass normal procedures and rush a 2017 intel report, despite NSA Director Mike Rogers warning his team lacked time to be certain Russia interfered in the 2016 election. So that was his concerns that he was expressing in the initial email. And this one, the top one, was the follow-up to that. I almost felt compelled to just read the top one a second time, but I'm not going to keep going because I got a lot of stuff to get to in this episode. But you can go check it out for yourself. You can read it from bottom to top. You read it backwards. Well, I mean, it's not backwards, but it's just listed from the oldest email up to the most recent. So this one's from Liz Churchill. Obama's in a lot of trouble. DNI's Tulsi Gabbard has declassified documents proving former DNI James Clapper, under Obama's direction, conspired to create the Russian hoax. Uh-oh. You's in trouble, little man. You's in trouble. You and Michael, Michelle. You, Michelle, are in some trouble. Uh-oh. So that is basically that. Again, with the comments, probably going to be a lot of the same. Hope he gets convicted. Clear-cut violation of treason. Of course, there's images. You know, there's references to certain German individuals. Hey, man, you can't have a bombshell without some memes mixed into the comments. Treason, 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 treason. This is treason. I don't care how you look at it. I mean, really is. I don't... Technically, maybe textbook definition, it may not actually cover treason because they're not conspiring with a foreign adversary to overthrow Trump. I think if Russia were actually working with them to bring all this up, yeah, that would definitely be treason in that case. I don't know. I'm no legal scholar. What the hell do I know? That would be very interesting. As far as I read, the last time a government official was charged with treason was in 1947. So it's been a minute. It's been a long time. It's been before probably any of us were born. And if you were born before 1947, then thank you very much for listening. And you are old, but we are all going to be old one day. Time is flying. I cannot believe I'm as old as I am already. It's unbelievable how fast time flies. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. This is from the NATO spokesperson. Germany announced today that it will fund a $500 million package of military equipment and munitions for Ukraine sourced from the United States under NATO's new Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List initiative. And I mentioned this either yesterday or the day before, that we're not going to be funding Ukraine directly, at least not with ammunition and weapons and all that, but they're still going to get American-made munitions, guns, and all that, but it's not going to be paid for by the U.S. It's going to be paid for by NATO. So here you go. This is from the NATO spokesperson herself saying that Germany is now dropping $500 million to buy weapons from the United States, sending it to Ukraine. So there it is. It's right there. And it looks like is there an article of this or no? Bitly? Nah. Oh, maybe. Preview of your destination. I don't know what the hell's up with this. This is weird. Okay, yeah. NATO.int.international, I'm assuming. So yeah, here we go. I don't know. I just got a new internet provider and now I'm finally using hardwired Ethernet internet connectivity into my computer. Beforehand, I was using one of those stupid Wi-Fi booster things, which I think is probably why it took some time to open one web page to another. So hopefully my internet's going to be working way better than it has been. I'm counting on it. It's plugged directly into the modem this time. So this should go a lot better. At least I hope so. Anyway, so Germany to fund $500 million to Ukraine for weaponry. They announced today, August 13th, 2025, it's funding a $500 million package of military equipment and munitions for Ukraine sourced from the U.S. under NATO's new Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte welcomed the announcement as a strong demonstration of Germany's enduring commitment to Ukraine's defense. I commend Germany for stepping up once again. This delivery will help Ukraine defend itself against Russian aggression, said the Secretary General. Germany is the largest European contributor of military aid to Ukraine, and today's announcement further underlines its commitment to help the Ukrainian people defend their freedom and sovereignty, he added. Germany's contribution under the PURL initiative, or Pearl initiative, follows earlier announcements by the Netherlands and a joint pledge from Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, each package valued at around $500 million. And is designed to meet Ukraine's most urgent operational requirements with equipment and munitions sourced from U.S. stockpiles. Dude, $500 million is chump change compared to what we were giving them. What were we at? Like 80 billion? 80 billion? I heard that Congress had allocated 130 billion. Is that the right number? Maybe 150 billion. But they hadn't sent all that money over to Ukraine until, well, at least by the time Trump got into office, and I'm sure he put a stop to that. But they got 80 billion. And Ukraine's supposed to be paying us back by way of rare earth minerals and mining and natural resources, essentially. So if that's the case, then I guess we can calm down a little bit. At least we'll get our money back. But what if Ukraine loses? Did they ever think about that? No, the Democrats didn't think about that because they would rather just dump money into that situation for 50 years if it's still going on because they don't give a shit. That's just my opinion. But what if they lose, though? If they lose, then I don't think we're going to get those natural resources, to say the least. All right. Let's move on to Secretary Kristi Noem. Congratulations to the men and women of SD Highway Patrol, that's South Dakota, on the largest meth bust in South Dakota history. 207 pounds worth, which is $12 million, has been taken off the streets. This criminal, an illegal alien from Mexico, is now in immigration proceedings. Justice will be served. He's not getting deported. He's going straight to jail. Look at all that meth. That's a shitload of meth. That almost puts Breaking Bad to shame. Maybe in the RV days. I mean, obviously, they're manufacturing a hell of a lot more than that. Was this 200 pounds? I think of Breaking Bad, they were doing, 300 pounds a week? Something like that, or 300 kilos, or how? Yeah, it was probably 300 kilos. All right, well, there you have it. Being shipped by a Hyundai. It's a lot of meth, buddy. All right, so Homeland Security at CNN, they would rather cover our social media than the criminal illegal aliens terrorizing Americans. They got to do better. So let me just adjust the volume here. And let's give this a play and check this out.
The Department of Homeland Security's online recruitment efforts are drawing serious...
I forgot. I got that turned down. Let's try this again, shall we?
The Department of Homeland Security's online recruitment efforts...
Oh my God, that's loud. Holy shit. I'm sorry.
Serious criticism.
I'm sorry.
See for yourself.
I do that all the time, man.
This homepage depicts Uncle Sam
God, I
at
gotta
a
get better at
crossroads. In one direction point, the words homeland and opportunity, and toward the other, invasion and cultural decline. It presents these choices as an existential national struggle. Which way, American man?
Yeah, it's called propaganda. That's what it is. Did you know that propaganda can be good too? Just because it's propaganda doesn't mean it's bad propaganda. You remember back in the day, it was in 1943, Walt Disney, they put out a Donald Duck cartoon to pay your taxes in order to bury the axes. I'm sure very few people probably know what I'm talking about, but Disney, they did. They put out a propaganda cartoon out in the movie theaters back in 1943, informing Americans, we got to pay our taxes, because back then we had to pay our taxes not on April 15th. We had to pay it on April 15th and then July 15th or something like that. And then like October 15th. It was every 3 months on the 15th. We had to pay our taxes 4 times a year to keep up with the war effort. Or you can go out and spend it, and then the United States loses World War II because we don't have enough money to supply the troops and save the day, save Europe, and take out Japan. But yeah, that was an interesting cartoon. Actually, I think you can actually find that on YouTube. You can find, they might even call it Disney propaganda cartoon. But anyway, it was a good one. You should watch it. But anyway, come on, CNN. Just because they're saying that, well, we're going to be in dire despair if you go that way, so you really got to go that way. This happens all the time. This is how the United States military recruits all the time. Or ICE, agencies, administrations. This isn't anything new. I mean, Democrats, if anything, Democrats are I wouldn't say they're good at it, but they're definitely overwhelmingly involved in disseminating propaganda on a 24/7 basis, especially on fucking CNN.
Uncle Sam implores citizens to, quote, report all foreign invaders. And this recruitment message is captured.
Yeah, they are invaders.
Homeland's heritage. This other post makes it clear that this goes beyond immigrant criminals. DHS caption reads, serve your country, defend your culture. No undergraduate degree required. Join ICE. Yeah,
and your point? So? Oh, DHS displays white identity motives in ICE recruitment ads. These people are fucking retarded. Oh my God, dude. Here, let's see what they're saying in the comments. All right. So thank you, ICE. When ICE is making arrests, they are rescuing victims, oftentimes children. Yeah, they actually are. They've rescued, what was it, 15,000? About 15,000 children that they've discovered so far. In the Biden administration, they lost. Oh, wait, here we go. No. They found a lot more than that. 72 arrests made in human trafficking operation. That's just one operation. But yeah, under the Biden administration, they lost over 300,000 immigrant children. That is horrifying, especially with all those clients from Epstein. They're all out there. None of them have been accounted for. None of them have been arrested. So they're out there doing something. I mean, do I have to fill in the blanks for you? The public at large feels the same way. Their ratings are literally in the damn toilet. Gutter level journalism did that. Yeah, dude, journalism's so freaking dead. Yeah, they took journalism out behind the tool shed and blew its fucking head off. All right, MSM are desperate for higher views ratings. Good grief, they're done. Oh, this ought to be interesting. DHS claims to target violent criminals, yet internal data shows over 75% of ICE detainees face only immigration and traffic offenses. Less than 10% have serious convictions. HR 5108 pumps $3.2 billion into ICE operations, but where's the accountability? Taxpayers fund raids, netting traffic violators while real threats persist. Bureaucrats burn cash chasing low-risk targets instead of cartel operatives. Prioritize deportation resources on actual predators, not minor infractions. Wasteful spending undermines security. Audit every dollar. The numbers don't lie. See the raw data and demand answers. All right. All right. I mean, if you ask me, if they're here illegally, they got to go. They got to go. Because they're a burden on almost everything at this point because there's just too many of them. Now, if there were only 1,000 illegal in the country, yeah, I guess if a cop happens to pull them over on a traffic stop, yeah, I wouldn't really go pursuing them like fucking Dog the Bounty Hunter. But we're talking 20 million, 30 million, 40 million. We don't even know how many millions that are out there. They all consume our electricity. They all consume the utilities. They have to eat food. They have to rent somewhere. And they all got to live somewhere. So that's probably why housing is in a shortage. Well, that and the 2008 situation, we haven't really built houses at the rate we should have been since then because, God knows, regulations and all that. And then COVID happened, and now they're saying, well, wood is too expensive. The timber industry is charging too much. That's why houses are so expensive. Doesn't make any sense. There's no fucking supply chain shortage. There might have been in 2020, but that was 5 years ago. All right, CNN hates America. All right. Trying to keep things as clean as possible, but we are on X after all, so anything could happen. So I have no idea. I'm flying blind into this list of comments. God knows what could come up, dude. This is response to CNN after all. CNN is nothing but another fake fabrication station. Per Grok, CNN's primetime viewership fell 62% from 2020, 1.8 million, to only 685,000 in 2024, dropping further to less than 500,000 in 2025. I've heard even worse numbers than that. I heard that their prime time spot, I can't remember who's on at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock on CNN, but I heard numbers below 100,000. That's what I heard. I don't know. That might be like in total. Maybe they're talking about total viewership in a day. But yeah, apparently their primetime viewership is like absolutely in the toilet. And I think MSNBC might even be worse than them. But maybe not. Maybe MSNBC's got more. That's because CNN is tabloid propaganda. Let's see. It's also bringing thousands upon thousands of applications. Yeah, over 100,000 applications. As a matter of fact, over 100,000 people have applied for ICE. I believe I actually bookmarked one of those posts, and I might be bringing that up here in a little bit. Speaking of which, let's just go straight to the next one. Enough of CNN. So, U.S. Marshals Service. The U.S. Marshals alert public of a scam spoofing official phones. So, this is kind of problematic. What these scammers are doing, they're spoofing they're spoofing the U.S. Marshals Service's phone number. And what it's doing is that when the scammers call you, your caller ID, it'll say U.S. Marshal Service, and it'll say the actual phone number of U.S. Marshal Service. But what you don't know is that they're spoofing that number. It isn't the U.S. Marshals. And what they're doing is they're calling you to say that you were called into jury duty 3 months ago and you didn't show up. So now there's $1,000 fine that you have to pay right now over the phone, or we're going to issue an arrest warrant. That's basically what they're doing. These people are fucking assholes. They're the worst kind of assholes. All right, so the U.S. Marshal Service for the Eastern District of Virginia is alerting the public again of a phone scam where con artists are spoofing the district office's real phone numbers to trick people into sending money. The tactic is known as neighbor spoofing, where scammers use technology to modify what number appears on your caller ID to impersonate phone numbers from friends, local businesses, and law enforcement. Oh, so they're even spoofing like people's friends and shit, making it appear that your friend is calling you or whatever. Offices from the Eastern District of Virginia are receiving calls from people asking why the marshals are requesting money from them, said Deputy U.S. Marshal Brian Stallnaker of the Eastern District of Virginia. Quote, "We want people to know these calls are scams. U.S. Marshals are urging people to report the calls to the local FBI office and file a consumer complaint with the Federal Trade Commission, which can detect patterns of fraud from the information collected and share that data with law enforcement. During these calls, scammers attempt to collect a fine in lieu of arrest for failing to report for jury duty or other offenses. They then tell victims they can avoid arrest by purchasing a store gift card." Oh, that's hilarious, man. You should go check out a YouTube channel called Kitboga. You never heard of Kitboga? Kitboga. He does this shit all the time. That's his bread and butter. He calls these scammers, and they're always asking him for gift cards, and he drives them fucking insane because he'll pretend to be like an old lady or whatever, and he goes and he gets the gift card. They're on the phone the whole time. Like, he'll waste their time. He'll waste like 30 hours of their time, like insane amounts of time. And then he gets the gift cards, and he starts typing it into the computer on the Google website, and like he's actually redeeming it into his own account, but he's like acting like an old man or an old lady. No, I'm just doing what the card is telling me. It says to redeem, type this in, go to here and type this in. And the scammers are going absolutely ape shit on the other end because they know if she submits those numbers, that card is just rendered useless. Anyway, yeah, they do that all the time. They'll try to get you to get a Google Play card or a Target card. I think Google Play is still their most popular one that they like using because they must get the biggest return on the card that they receive, because essentially they just take that card that you give them, the card number, and they hand it off to a third-party service where one of those websites, like we buy your gift cards. We buy, if your gift card only has like 50 cents left on it, we'll buy it and we'll give you like 75% of it or whatever. There's third-party sites where they do that. But anyway, they tell victims they can avoid arrest by purchasing a stored gift card or prepaid debit card and read the card number over the phone to satisfy the fine. Scammers have also been requesting cryptocurrency payments to avoid arrest. So scammers use many tactics to sound credible. They sometimes provide information like badge numbers, names of actual law enforcement officials, and federal judges, said by the U.S. Marshal Shannon Saylor of the Eastern District of Virginia. These calls are becoming more prevalent in our area, and we want to educate the public on these types of scams. Well, that's what I'm doing too. I'm helping to educate. So there's some things to remember there. If you're getting these calls and you're freaking out about it, pause the video right now. Check out these points here. But the real thing is you just call the office, call the local FBI office. You just go on Google, type in my local FBI office. I'm sure that Google will tell you the number. But this is the deputy U.S. Marshal. I mean, he gave his phone number. I guess you probably call that one. But no, they're saying the best one to do is call the FBI. And then let them know, man. Let them know that you're getting blown up by them. Don't give anybody gift cards. If anybody asks you for a gift card and they're pretending to be any official entity from anywhere, not just the marshals, but anywhere, the tax collector's office, I don't know, anybody. If they're telling you that you can satisfy this massive problem that they're telling you got by using a gift card, instantly hang up on them because they're a scammer. I mean, what the hell government agency is going to say, well, we're going to throw you in jail unless you hook us up with some Google Play cards. I mean, come on, let's be real. No, but seriously, people fall for it all the time. I mean, there's a reason why they're posting this, because people actually fall for it. Scammers, they make millions and millions of dollars on people, mostly from elderly people, a lot of whom have dementia, and they're just honestly confused, and they're just doing what they're told to do because they don't want to get in trouble. All right, but anyway, so let's move on to DoD Rapid Response. We are gathered at the Pentagon for our monthly worship service. We will forever be one nation under God. So Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, he is hosting the monthly worship service held at the Pentagon, and he's been doing that since he was made Secretary of State. I believe he said at some point they used to do this on a monthly basis, and then of course it was done away with, probably by Obama. I don't know, to be honest, but he brought it back. And now they have worship service once a month. It brings the Pentagon community together, the Christian community together. I think it's a wonderful thing. Matter of fact, I'm going to give them a heart for that. All right, so rewards for justice. 13 years ago today, Austin Tice, I'm assuming it's Tice. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm so garbage with names. I'm really bad with names. But anyway, 13 years ago today, Austin Tice was abducted in Syria, and he still remains missing. Help us find him and bring him home. Send us your information. Your tip could make you eligible for a reward and relocation. Up to a $10 million reward if you know where he is. And even if you know where I don't want to be disrespectful, but where his remains might be, if it's in the location recovery, that's what they mean by recovery in part. But yeah, if you know where he is and you can locate him, maybe one of those dead or alive kind of situations, you can get up to $10 million. That's a hell of a payday. But Austin Bennett Tice, a U.S. law school student and freelance journalist, was in Syria reporting on the country's civil war when he went missing. He was abducted on August 12th of 2012 from the Damascus suburb of Daraya, Syria. And Rewards for Justice is offering a reward for information leading to the location, recovery, and return of Austin Tice. If you have any information, send it to Rewards for Justice at the number below via Signal, Telegram, or WhatsApp. You may be eligible for a relocation and a reward. Relocation meaning that if you're a Syrian, because I'm kind of doubting, and they're probably doubting, that somebody, just random person living in America, just happens to know where he's at. So, yeah, you can get a ticket to America, and you can get $10 million. How about that? I mean, if that's not enticing, I don't know what is. Especially if you're somebody who's just barely getting by in Syria, or if you have to live life on the edge kind of deal. I mean, not to be funny about it, but I mean, Syria is probably not exactly the best place to be living. But yeah, man, $10 million payday. If we can get him back home, he's an American citizen. It'd be nice if we could get him back home. I think the everyday American taxpayer would be okay with dropping $10 million to get an American back home, because you got to put yourself in their shoes. If you go missing in a country and you're being held up for years on end, and somebody knows your whereabouts, wouldn't you want the U.S. government to satisfy a $10 million reward if that's what it takes to get you home? Fuck yeah. So I'm okay with it. And he's been missing for a really long time, man. 2012, that's 13 years. So hopefully that will lead to some good news. We'll see. But that was from Rewards for Justice. It was reposted by, I think it was the Department of State. I believe it was them who reposted that, and that's what led me to seeing it. So this is from J.D. Vance, next president in 2020. It's a blue check, but again, it was reposted from somebody else. But anyway, just in, Treasury Secretary Scott Bissent calls for a total stock trading ban for members of Congress and torches Nancy Pelosi in the process. Hell yeah, man, that's always fun to see. Quote, the American people deserve better than politicians like Pelosi with hedge fund level returns. Public service should be about serving the people, not getting rich. Amen. Finally, someone saying what we're all thinking. Well, that's weird. The image didn't pop up. All right, are we good on sound? I hope we're good on sound. Let's see.
I am going to start pushing for
we're good.
A single stock trading ban, because it is the credibility of the House and the Senate that you look at some of these eye-popping returns, whether it's Representative Pelosi, Senator Wyden. Every hedge fund would be jealous of them, and the American people deserve better than this. People shouldn't come to Washington to get rich. They should come to serve the American people. And why
don't you advocate for banning K Street while you're at it? Get lobbying the hell out of DC too.
Brings down trust in the system, because I can tell you that if any private citizen traded this way, the SEC would be knocking on their door.
Yep, and I get it. One thing at a time. If they could actually make this happen, that would be amazing. If they can make it so Congress members cannot do any kind of stock trading of any way, shape, or form, that would be awesome. Because they shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. I can't believe that they've been allowed to do that for all this time. And of course, the American people, by and large, don't know about this. They really don't. I mean, most Americans really don't pay that close attention to politics, especially not close enough to know what members of Congress, if any, are engaged in insider trading. Especially the Speaker of the House. That's kind of messed up. You think, above all, that person should be banned from stock trading, having control over what bills enter the House floor and which ones don't. Anyway, the other day, people were saying that that Bissent has great hair. Scott Bissent. I don't know. I think that was funny. Yeah, I mean, he's got good hair. I don't know how old he is. What is he, like 80 years old? I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, man, he's got great hair. You might want to find out what kind of hair products he's using. All right, anyway. So, Bureau of Justice Statistics, the FBI, and state and local checking agencies received about 22.4 million applications for firearm transfers and permits in 2021, a 10% decrease from 25 million in 2020. Now, there could be a few reasons for that. A lot of people were freaked out about 2020. Plus, the cost of ammunition was skyrocketing. I think it was in 2020. It certainly was skyrocketing in 2021. So maybe in 2020, let's see. Hold on. Here we go. So it actually did peak in 2020. See how it went way up. And I'm sure that's the reason, because people are freaking out over COVID. The whole lockdowns and all that shit going on. Plus the left, they were looting like crazy. Remember the Summer of Love? That's what they called it in 2020, when up in Seattle, they were doing that Chaz or the CHOP or whatever, that quote unquote demilitarized zone that they set up for the summer. And it was just a hippie wasteland. I think like 30 people were killed in that area, weren't they? Maybe. Yeah, I think it actually was. I don't know. There were people killed in that area during that time because the police weren't allowed to come in, because the hippies, they were guarding it themselves with real guns. But yeah, I mean, that probably could have played into the reason why it went down. Also, it didn't start recently. It actually went back to the mid-2010s when more and more states became constitutional carry. So that could possibly also play into, if there's still a reduction going past 2021, more and more states are some form of constitutional carry. Like I live in the state of Florida, and just last July in 2024, we made it so that you can conceal carry without the government's permission, but you can't open carry without the government's permission unless you're hunting, camping, or fishing, going to or returning from. Then you can carry whatever the hell you want. You want to carry a rifle, shotgun, whatever, and you can carry it openly as long as you're directly going to or returning from any of those three activities. But I would assume those applications would be going down because at least in the state of Florida, you don't have to apply to carry a gun anymore. So anyway, I just figured that's worth pointing out. So the Department of State, another win for the president and the American people. Taxpayers deserve accountability. That's exactly what they're getting with America First foreign assistance. So this is from Reuters. So the U.S. Appeals Court lets Trump cut billions in foreign aid. This is an epic win. So I'm going to read a little bit of this article, even though we did pretty much get the gist of it, but it's worth seeing if there's a little bit more information that we can get out of this. So from Washington today, a federal appeals court on Wednesday lifted an injunction that required the U.S. State Department to continue making foreign aid payments, handing a victory to President Donald Trump. This is on Reuters, by the way. I think Reuters is a little bit left-wing. Am I wrong? In a 2-1 decision, a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia's circuit said a lower court erred by ordering the Trump administration to restore foreign assistance payments previously approved by Congress. Trump imposed a 90-day pause on all foreign aid on January 20th, the same day he was inaugurated for his second term in the White House. His executive order was followed by aggressive moves to gut USAID, the main U.S. foreign aid agency, including by placing much of its staff on leave and exploring bringing the formerly independent agency under the State Department. 2 nonprofit groups that receive federal funding, AIDS Vaccine Advocacy Coalition and Journalism Development Network, brought litigation. Yeah, we did catch that. U.S. District Judge Amir Ali, appointee of former President Biden, ordered the Trump administration to pay nearly $2 billion in outstanding aid to its humanitarian partners worldwide. Good grief, man. Writing for the 2-judge majority, Circuit Judge Karen Henderson said the nonprofit groups, quote, lack a cause of action to press their claims, end quote, and therefore failed to satisfy the requirements for an injunction. Henderson wrote that only the U.S. Government Accountability Office, a watchdog agency, could challenge the president's effort to withhold foreign aid funding. Interesting. Henderson, who was appointed to the appeals court by President George H.W. Bush, said the court was not addressing the question of whether Trump's foreign aid freeze violated the U.S. Constitution by infringing on the spending power of Congress. Henderson's opinion was joined by Circuit Judge Gregory Katsas, a Trump appointee, and Circuit Judge Florence Pan, a Biden appointee, wrote in a dissenting opinion. Dude, why are these judges just so fucking partisan, man? Isn't that the whole point, that judges wear black robes so they don't reveal any kind of political bias in any way? At least that was my understanding, that they're supposed to be blind to all this shit. They're not supposed to get political in any way, shape, or form. What the fuck ever. So anyway, in the federal law and separation of powers outlined in the Constitution, the court's acquiescence in and the facilitation of the executive's unlawful behavior derails the carefully crafted system of checked and balanced power that serves as the greatest security against tyranny, the accumulation of excessive authority in a single branch, Pan wrote. A spokesperson for the Office of Management and Budget, the White House's budget office, said in a ruling, the ruling stops radical left dark money groups from maliciously interfering with the president's ability to spend responsibly and to administer foreign aid in a lawful manner in alignment with his America First policies. There you go. So that's good. It's good that they're able to finally go through with that. I mean, it took him freaking forever, man. I mean, hell, it's August, for crying out loud. All right, so let's head over to the CBP. Another Wednesday at the wall. This week, progress continued with panel installation along the flood control levees in the Rio Grande Valley and San Diego, along with other segments of the border. 1 week closer to getting the wall completed. There they are, working on it. They are building the wall, the big, beautiful wall. Big, beautiful wall. Well, what if the immigrants have 40-foot ladders? Then what? Oh, you know what? In that case, the wall just got 10 feet taller. Hell yeah, son. Quoting President Donald Trump. All right, so let's head over to defense news. The Marines will get new versions of the XQ-58 Valkyrie drone, an unmanned aircraft known for its uses in war fighting. Look at that, dude. It is a drone fighter jet.
It's literally a drone fighter jet. I did read an article, it was a couple of weeks ago. I did read an article on this show talking about how the military is looking to integrate AI into this drone program, this fighter jet program. They are looking to upload Skynet into this shit. I don't know about all that, but that's what they're talking about doing. Not sure if they're really going to go through with it or not, but that thing looks so badass though. No window or anything. It's just fully autonomous. So new versions of the Kratos XQ-58 Valkyrie drone will be manufactured for the U.S. Marine Corps after the service made the drone a new program of record. Kratos CEO Eric DeMarco told investors during a phone call last week. The Valkyrie drone, an unmanned aircraft known for its versatility and many war-fighting capabilities, has been flying since 2019 and until this point has been used by the U.S. Air Force and Marines for testing and evaluation. In Kratos' tactical drone business, it was recently reported that both the U.S. Marine Corps and the Office of the Secretary of Defense stated that the Valkyrie is becoming a program of record and will be the first CCA, which is collaborative combat aircraft, in production and fielded for the Marines, DeMarco said. Marines have tested the Valkyrie's ability to provide targeting data from the air and conduct electronic warfare. Last December, the drone autonomously provided intelligence data to Marine Corps pilots who exercised control over multiple drones at once. Damn. The move by the Marine Corps to adopt the Valkyrie means new variations of the drone will move into production. In addition to producing the drone for the U.S. military, the company will also manufacture a European version to be supplied to the German Air Force. Okay. The Valkyrie is low-cost, lightweight, and flexible, making it a UAV suitable for a wide array of missions. It can fly long-range at high subsonic speeds and drop bombs, as well as fly stealth surveillance missions. Damn, dude, that thing's even stealth? It can be manufactured quickly and can fly in swarms to augment U.S. air power. What? Last month, 2 XQ-58A Valkyrie drones flew in the loyal wingman role with U.S. fighter pilots in an exercise that the Air Force called a major leap in human-machine teaming. What? So during the exercise, fighter pilots wielded the drone seamlessly while conducting combat maneuvers. Dude, that is dope. That is crazy. So a U.S. Marine Corps XQ-58A Valkyrie front conducts a test flight with 2 Air Force F-35A Lightning II. Master Sergeant John McRell from the Air Force took the picture. Wow, man, that is crazy, dude. Just when you thought that the U.S. military was straight out of the future, oh man, we ain't seen nothing yet. All right, let's move on to defense news. Pastors in the video said they want the U.S. to be a Christian republic, adding calls for criminalizing homosexuality and for women to submit to their husbands. Oh, how dare they? All right, so female vets in Congress, they slam Hegseth's repost of Christian nationalist. So pastors in CNN video oppose 19th Amendment, women in combat, and want to criminalize homosexuality. I mean, I don't know about the latter. The whole women should be submissive to their husbands. Yeah, that's traditionally the way it should be. After all, Eve was the helpmate to Adam. That's the role of the women, is to be the helpmate to the man, their husband specifically. But yeah, we're certainly not getting that anymore. No, we're getting a lot of, I'm bored, I just don't feel it, divorced, and then that's that. And then the family's wrecked, the kids are growing up in divorced households. We already know that children that are raised in single-parent households, well, single-mother households specifically, are 10 times more likely to become criminals, become addicted to drugs, drop out of school, and on and on and on. Just pretty much any kind of drag of society that you can label. They're 10 times more likely to become just that if they're raised in a single mother household. Single father household ain't perfect either, but it sure as hell is a lot better than being raised in a single mother household, because they tend to bring guys around and you don't really know what they're capable of. I mean, a lot of abuse, I'll just keep it simple. A lot of abuse happens in single mother households because of the company they bring around, unfortunately. Not saying all, not saying most, all right? I'm not saying that. Most single women are perfectly lovely. They only mean the best for their children. I absolutely agree with you there. I'm just saying, the stats are the stats. That's all. All right, so anyway, let me just get into the article. I got way off into the weeds on that one. So Democratic Congresswomen, including several military veterans, are demanding Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth apologize and resign after reposting a video about a Christian nationalist church with pastors who advocate for the repeal of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote, and feel women should not serve in certain combat and leadership positions. I mean, to each his own. Depends on how conservative you are. If you're conservative enough, then yeah, you would actually agree with that. Look, if you agree with the 19th Amendment and you believe that women should vote, you are a feminist. That's what feminist is. If you believe women should have the right to vote and then occupy whatever, join the military, join the police, get a full-time job, live on their own. I mean, those are forms of arguably first-wave feminism, women's independence, and then it goes on from there. I mean, where are we at now? Third, fourth? I think we're at fourth-wave feminism now. Now that women are men and men are women now. I kind of cringe to imagine what fifth wave might be like. So anyway, Senator Tammy Duckworth, Democrat from Illinois, an Army helicopter pilot who lost both of her legs during combat in Iraq, told Military Times these views are antiquated, flat out wrong, and more dangerously designed to justify discrimination and mistreatment of women, including those who sacrifice in uniform to defend Americans. Quote, he is the least qualified Secretary of Defense in our nation's history. Why? Because he reposted something? Come on. Just chill out with the drama, lady. All right, despite commanding tens of thousands of women who actually are qualified and earn their jobs, unlike him, she added, Hegseth's incompetence and outright idiocy continue to put our troops and national security at greater risk every day he remains in office. Why? Because he's a Christian? And he should resign and disgrace immediately. I mean, he didn't actually full-on advocate for that. He's not demanding that all women be kicked out of the military, so what the hell is she talking about? Just calm down, Karen. Just chill out. All right, in the CNN video, the pastors also said they want the United States to be a Christian republic. I mean, we are really, aren't we? I mean, we're vast majority Christians still. I know we're on the decline, but pretty sure the Americans still 79% Christian, somewhere around there, 75, 79% Christian. And we do live in a constitutional republic, so aren't we kind of in a Christian republic? They call for the criminalization of homosexuality and expect women to submit to their husbands. I mean, that's marriage. That's what marriage is. But anyway, yeah. I mean, if they want to do it the other way around where the husbands submit to the wives, that marriage will 99% full on fail. It'll fail because the wife won't respect him and she won't love him and she will leave him. That's typically what ends up happening. The same goes when she earns more money than him. It just becomes a problem from her point of view. The man, he really doesn't give a shit either way, as long as the bills are paid and he's doing his thing, she's doing her thing. If it works out, it works out. But it's the wives and the women who tend to have a problem with that, with them being the breadwinner above him. That's just typically what ends up happening. More often than not, if that's the case, you're going to end up getting divorced. Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing or a good thing. I guess I got no way about it either way, except that divorce is bad. I mean, I think that the whole no-fault divorce thing was absolutely detrimental to our society, and we're probably past the point of no return at this point. I mean, we're at the point now where we've got members of Congress freaking out about how, oh my God, how dare you say that women submit to their husbands? Well, okay, all right. I mean, that's just the world we're living in now, I suppose. I mean, it's getting a little loony, getting kind of crazy. But anyway, women are the kind of people that come out of, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. Pastor Doug Wilson said in the video, wow. Rep. Kristi Houlihan, Democrat of Pennsylvania, an Air Force veteran who has called for Hegseth's resignation before, told Military Times that Hegseth's recent post promoting a Christian nationalist theology that is opposed to women's suffrage and calls for homosexuality to be criminalized is unacceptable political religious advocacy for a cabinet member. I wonder if she's one of those people who took a look at his chest tattoo and they were like, oh my God, that's some alt-right hate symbol and he's got to be fired immediately. When it's not. It's like some ancient Christian symbol or something like that. I don't know the details of it either. I just heard that it's nothing what the left thought it was. But yeah, check out a picture of Pete Hegseth with his shirt off. I mean, hell, here, I'll show it to you now. I mean, why not? Actually, here, let me do it this way. Let's see what Pete Hegseth looks like with his shirt off. Oh, I'm typing in all caps. Oh my God, it's such an evil, alt-right, hateful symbol that he's got there. He's got 5 crosses. How dare he? Oh yeah, there's one where he has every suit that he has. He's got the inside lining of the American flag. Apparently every single jacket that he's got has the American flag on the inner lining, that he's had it custom stitched. But yeah, all right, so whatever. All right, let me go back.
All right, there I was. Just in case, I might have to pull up something else. All right, so I guess we can get out of this. Or we can pretty much wrap this up, right? I mean, there's more to get into. Look how long this article is. Good grief, man. They are wicked mad. They are so triggered over this. Good grief. And this is from defensenews.com, by the way. But this will be linked in the description. There's plenty more to read through if you want to check out more of it. It'll be linked down below. It'll start with Defense News down there in the links. All right, so let's head down to National Interagency Fire Center. This was posted 8 hours ago. National Fire News on August the 13th, 16,953 wildland fires and support personnel are on assignment across the country right now. 17,000 wildfires right now, currently, tackling wildfires in challenging terrain and conditions. So far this year, human activity has sparked more than 39,000 wildfires, burning over 1.6 million acres. A lot of irresponsible people out there. But in this day and age, common sense, needless to say, it's kind of hard to come by these days. And people just do dumb shit and it starts fires. Or if it's throwing out cigarette butt or throwing out your joint or whatever the hell is going on these days. Or starting a fire and not making sure that it's adequately put out. Campfire, primitive camping, all that and the other. Or people just going out there deliberately. A lot of people do that to try to keep the climate change narrative going, you know? The whole world's on fire. It's getting hotter. It's because the sun's just spontaneously combusting all of our forests. No, it's because stupid California and other blue states, they don't take care of the kindling on the forest floor. They don't do controlled burnings anymore. So when something lights up, even with a simple lightning strike, the whole damn forest burns down. Like thousands of acres, which would have been pretty minimal if they just took care of controlled burns as they should be, every 10 years or something like that. I don't know. They used to do that. They used to until they were like, well, that's just like bad for the environment. Like smoke is like carbon and carbon's like bad for the earth, even though carbon's plant food, basically. I mean, trees, they turn carbon into wood, carbon dioxide. That's what 50% of wood's made out of, crying out loud. All right, so U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Last night in D.C., ICE and its federal partners wasted no time helping D.C. police restore order to the capital city. I don't know why these images are not loading. It's kind of pissing me off. Check this out.
Including the feds in Northwest D.C. tonight.
They're getting done. They're getting shit going.
This is in the Columbia Heights neighborhood around 14th
Large law
Street
enforcement presence.
Perry Place Northwest. Both Homeland Security and Border Patrol were spotted on this scene.
Hell yeah.
To confirm what they were responding to and
That's what
how
I'm talking
many
about.
arrests were made, as you see that very large police presence and law enforcement, federal law enforcement presence. We see all of the vehicles lined up there. A major show of force there in the D.C. streets in Columbia Heights. Again, you see
that's our tax dollars at work. It's better than them standing around doing nothing.
We are
letting
working to
crime
find
happen.
out more information, and as soon as we get it, we'll let you know. And right now, the first day of National
sure
Guard
you
troops
will.
on the ground in D.C., also part of President Trump's effort to crack
Trump's
down on
DC
crime.
takeover.
Military vehicles spotted along the National Mall
because the
tonight.
National Guard was deployed.
Fox 9's Senyo Bonsu live in Northwest, where we're also seeing D.C. police very active tonight. Nana.
Damn straight.
Hey,
because the criminals, they just won't get the fucking in. Oh, them people are so triggered. They're so angry. All them Democrats.
HSI. There's a lot happening right here on the scene that we're trying to gather.
Oh my God, dude, that middle finger was so hurtful.
Large federal law enforcement presence, as you can see, a number of federal agents hopping in their car.
Ah, poor babies. They're so triggered. Oh my God. So what's going on down here in the comments? Let's see what they're saying about it here. Very good to start off with. 850 officers arrested 23 people last night. Wow, huge success. I mean, where's the pushback? People who are complaining about this must be mad because their suppliers are going into jail. Look for decline in crime stats in DC, and that means a real decline, not a phony one. This is the way. Unless Congress does something, all of this will be for nothing. Well, I mean, maybe in a roundabout way. A lot of the problem lies with the judges too. But yeah, definitely with Congress, with the no cash bail. Trump brought that up, among other things. A lot of the problem are these judges. They're giving them the most lenient sentences possible, if not outright just throwing it out. And apparently the prosecutors, they're doing what they can do, especially now that Jeanine Pirro's in charge. I'm sure the prosecutors are going to be really delivering a heavy hand, but the problem is it just lies with the judges. Are the judges just going to keep turning people loose? Because I don't know what you do about the judges. I guess you can impeach them because federal judges, they're lifetime appointed, I think. I'm pretty sure. Whereas our local judges, our state level judges, they're elected. At least here in Florida, they are.
I assume they are in all the other states. Anyway, thank you, ICE. God bless you and keep you safe. As a registered voter, I am overjoyed that our elected officials are returning our beloved cities back to us. Thank you. Somehow doesn't seem to be enough. The thank you, that is. Keep the arrests coming. Great work, ICE. People have a rap sheet a mile long that the judges refuse to incarcerate. Can we just remove them? It gets a little sticky if they are American citizens, though, you know? Fourth turning vibes. They have too much time on their hands because they're allergic to working. Section 8 and welfare careerists. Yeah, some of them, probably. I wouldn't doubt it. Well, plus they've just been so used to being able to wild out in the street night after night, and there was no pushback from the police or the mayor or really anybody. And they're just so used to just going out and starting shit constantly. But not anymore. At least not for 30 days. Trump's got 30 days. And he did say today, he was given a speech at the Kennedy Center. Yeah, the Kennedy Center. He was given a speech and he mentioned that he's got 30 days. He's working quickly with Congress. Lindsey Graham was there. Apparently he's working with Trump to try to get some legislation pushed through and get to his desk so he can sign it to, at a minimum, try to extend this pursuit of crime in D.C. I would be extremely grateful if you all would come to New York City. It's not looking good, and I'm afraid it will get worse under Downey's rule. Oh, you think so? Dude, New York City is going to see an exodus of epic proportions if that dude gets elected. Maybe except for the rich elites. They might stick around because they don't have to walk around on the streets. They could just go up to the top floor and just hop in their fucking helicopter and fly away. Go wherever they want. Probably start installing freaking helicopter pads on top of restaurants. It's amazing how much Democrats love crime and criminals. They thrive in it. Okay, so let's move on. But yeah, that's just illustrating that federal law enforcement, they're out in D.C., they're arresting people. The presence is there, and it's being reported on. So I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty more of it. So AAG Harmeet Dillon, it's 2025. Americans choose candidates based on merit, not race. Disappointed some Texas legislators don't know that. Yeah, indeed.
So with what you just said about Justice Thomas, and this case is going to show up in the Supreme Court, might these states that ironically are saying that Texas is trying to gerrymander, they're all very gerrymandered states. Illinois with big anaconda-looking districts.
Big time.
And we know that 70%
we went over those numbers the other day.
Representation out of California is a lot lower than the 40% Republican base in California. Might these states be forced to redistrict if this case goes the way Justice Thomas says it might?
Yes. I mean, if this case goes the way that Justice Thomas has hinted he'd like to see it, namely in favor of equal protection for all Americans and ending racial gerrymandering.
That's our republic.
Many states are going to have to redistrict. Now, there are a few states in the country that are so small in population, they only have one member of Congress, or they're, like I was joking with a friend of mine from like a state that's, one of these New England states. I'm like, do you even have any minorities in your state? You probably don't have minority districts. They're, mainly a white liberal state.
Yeah.
So those states may not be affected, but states like California that are very diverse in population and very litigated, Illinois.
California went over those numbers. 25% of registered voters in California are Republican, yet only 16% of the congressional districts in California are Republican. So you can see where it's pretty far from even. And Gavin Newsom is threatening to take away 5 more Republican districts and giving them to Democrat districts. And that's going to bring the number down from 16% down to 7%. So only 7% of California will be Republican districts. 7%, whereas 93% would be Democrat, if that is something that he would end up being able to do. But Illinois is the same thing. I think the numbers are even worse than California, even less than 25%. And there's a number of states. Like I said, I went over this just the other day. There's like 5 or 6 states that have zero Republican districts and 100% Democrat districts. And some of those states had 40% of people in the state that were registered Republicans. It is insane.
A lot of the states in the South.
So this would really shake things up.
You're going to see some complete changes forced by law changes there. This DOJ is very committed to a race-blind America where we get rid of
I'm assuming she's talking about Clarence Thomas.
Sort of quotas and this artificial concept that you can determine people's voting or their, capabilities by their race. This is an un-American concept.
Dude, I hope Justice Thomas lives for 150 years, man. He is like the most constitutional Supreme Court justice probably ever. All right, so let's go to Office of Management and Budget. Big win. Radical left-wing groups have been abusing the court system in an attempt to seize control of U.S. foreign policy from the president. Today's decision puts a stop to that, affirming the president's ability to spend responsibly to enact his America First agenda. That's with regard to the foreign aid spending. So that, I believe, was the first one I came across, hence the reason why I bookmarked it, and it's down the list a bit. So let's move over to Attorney General Pamela Bondi. Another Justice Department victory in court for President Trump's agenda. In a 2-1 ruling, the D.C. Circuit Court lifted an injunction ordering President Trump to spend hard-earned taxpayer dollars on wasteful foreign aid projects. We will continue to successfully protect core presidential authorities from judicial overreach. And this one's from the Kennedy Center. This is where Trump spoke today. The Kennedy Center is proud to announce our incredible lineup of 2025 Kennedy Center honorees. George Strait and Michael Crawford and Sylvester Stallone, Gloria Gaynor, and Kiss. And if you're not familiar with Gloria Gaynor, she sang that song, I Will Survive, that like 70s song, disco song. I will survive. So yeah, they're all being honored. And they asked Trump to host this event, this whole 48th event that they're having at the Kennedy Center, which I believe is in September, maybe in October. It's coming up fairly soon. And he said no. He said, no, I'm the president. I've got other things to do, because apparently he's the chairman of the board at the Kennedy Center. I didn't know that President Trump is. And he mentioned somebody, what was her name? Pamela or something like that. I'm not familiar with who he said. That she said, no, you really need to host this event. And he said, okay, fine. Since you asked, okay, fine, I'll do it. So he's going to host this event. So anyway, yeah, so he gave a speech. He took some questions today. Some were not related to the Kennedy Center, but there were some interesting questions with regard to Russia, the meeting with Putin, and a couple other things came up. So the first half of it was kind of boring, unless you're really into the Kennedy Center and performing arts and all of that. You know, that would be relevant to you. But yeah, the Q&A was probably about 35, 40 minutes in length. All right, so this is from Caroline Levitt. Left-wing dark money mega donors, including George Soros, contribute $20 million to groups funding protests against Trump's D.C. crime crackdown. Get a load of that. So they are dumping $20 million into the laps of left-wing progressive activists who are going to, in turn, give money to whoever wants to show up. Hey, we'll give you $50 if you show up to this protest. See, that's the thing. A lot of these protests, they don't give a shit about politics. They don't give a shit about any of this. They're just there for the $50. And they'll hold up the signs that they didn't even make. Somebody else made the signs for them. They'll just stand there and chant and just follow along with the stupid songs that they're singing. So that's problematic. But if they step out of line, the federal authorities, they can arrest now, except the National Guard. The National Guard, they can't place anybody under arrest. But it was stated that if they see a crime in progress happening in front of them, they will tackle whoever and they'll hold them there until law enforcement shows up. So they're at least going to get that done if needed. All right, so this is from the New York Post. Several lefty dark money organizations, including George Soros, contributed more than $20 million to groups funding protests against President Trump's crime crackdown in Washington, D.C. Free D.C., a fiscally sponsored special project of progressive nonprofits, Community Change and Community Change Action, brought 150 demonstrators near the White House Monday to protest Trump's plan to deploy National Guard troops in the district and federalize the city's police department. See, dude, they're protesting for crime. What else would they be protesting? D.C. needs to be a free state and not under federal rule. Well, dude, you got to police your streets better. You suck at it. You're not good at your job. The mayor sucks at her job. So we're going to move in the big boys and we're actually going to get shit done. So anyway, quote, do not obey in advance, end quote, and, quote, take up space, end quote, are among Free DC's guiding principles. And the group urges supporters to go outside at 8 p.m. and bang pots and pans, sing, chant, or make noise for 5 minutes every night of this occupation. Yeah, because, there's not everyday citizens who live in D.C. who are just trying to get some sleep so they can go to work the next day. It's not like those people exist. Free D.C. has scheduled multiple events since Monday's anti-Trump protest, including a cop watch training suggesting further protests are planned amid Trump's effort to make DC the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities anywhere in the world by ramping up law enforcement efforts and removing homeless encampments from public places. Community Change and Community Change Action, the groups bankrolling Free DC's activism campaign, have been the beneficiaries of millions of dollars in donations from hedge fund tycoon George Soros, Open Society Foundations, and Tides Foundation, and the dark money Arabella Advisors Network, according to an analysis shared with the Post. So, let's see. Quote, "It is ironic that a protest to ostensibly free DC was hosted by Community Change, a group funded by massive amounts of outside dark money to push a pro-crime agenda," end quote. Caitlin Sutherland, the executive director of nonprofit watchdog Americans for Public Trust, said in a statement, "DC is facing shootings, carjackings, and assaults, and yet progressive groups like the Pritzker Foundation, George Soros, and the Arabella Network all spend millions of dollars to manufacture protests that weaken our communities." Yep, that's exactly what they do. In 2023 alone, Community Change and Community Change Action received $4 million from Soros's Open Societies Foundation, $680,000 from the Arabella Network, and $145,000 from the Tides Foundation, Americans for Public Trust found in publicly available financial disclosures. Arabella Advisors, a Washington, D.C.-based consulting firm, manages several funds that finance left-wing groups, including the 1630 Fund, Windward Fund, New Venture Fund, which have all given money to Community Change and Community Change Action since 2020. So if there wasn't any money behind all these, how many demonstrations, how many protests, how many large protests which devolve into riots do you think that we would have seen over the last, let's say, 10 years? I'm sure we would have seen some, but it probably wouldn't have been anywhere at the scale that we've actually witnessed. And the right, the right doesn't do that. They don't spend millions of dollars organizing protests. I'm not saying that they should. I would say if the time's right and if there's something worth protesting against that actually makes sense to do so, then yeah, we absolutely should be doing that. Just don't stoop down to the level that they usually engage in with rioting and looting and pillaging. All right, so similarly, Soros Open Society Foundations and Tides Foundation and Tides Advocacy, part of the Billionaires Tides Network, are far-left grant-making organizations. There's Soros, there's President Trump. And between 2020 and 23, Community Change and Community Change Action received $12.6 million from Open Society Foundation, $5.6 million from the Arabella Network, and $1.5 million from the Tides Network under numerous grants labeled for such purposes as quote-unquote civil rights, social action, advocacy, and social welfare activities. Additionally, Community Change received $1 million across 21 and 22 from Future Forward USA Action, a Democratic Party-aligned super PAC affiliated with Future Forward PAC, one of the major political groups that backed former Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. It's unclear how much of this money has been directly used by Free DC, which says on its website it began organizing in 23 in response to a congressional effort to block a controversial update to DC's criminal code. Free DC and Community Change did not respond to the Post request for comment. Of course they don't. No, they hate talking to the press. They don't talk to anybody in the press. Even if you show up to these protests, they actually have people wearing yellow vests. If you walk up to anybody who's in the protest and you're asking them, like, hey, what's going on here? What are you involved with? What's the protest for? I'm just curious. And if they notice that you're recording them or filming them, these yellow vested handlers will walk up to this protester, put their hands on their shoulders, physically turn them back toward the crowd, and then not shove, but they'll walk them back into the crowd and just let them go, like herding sheep. It literally looks like herding sheep, putting them right back into the herd. You know, the grazing's over here. Don't talk to them. They're a bunch of propaganda. We don't know who they are. I mean, that's also why Antifa walks around with umbrellas. They don't want to be filmed. And they just want to be a bunch of assholes because they, you know, that's a lot of assholery when you put a fucking umbrella in front of somebody. All right, so this is from RNZ Research. A new poll. Democrats are facing a new record low favorability rating from their own party. Holy shnikes.
A new poll shows Democrats facing a record low favorable number among members of their own political party. And that number is down actually 14 points just from November of last year. We call that a slide. A stark contrast to the GOP, where 91% hold a favorable view of the party.
How do you like that, man? 91% among the GOP, 77% among the Democrats, their own party. Now, overall favorability across everywhere, the right, the center, independents, Democrats, the whole thing, It's down, well, congressional Democrats, I think, to be specific, is like 19%. It is in the gutter, which is like a 35-year low, somewhere around that. So from Homeland Security, another embarrassing fake news lie. Criminal illegal alien Frank De La Pena was not kidnapped, quote unquote kidnapped. He was arrested for breaking the law. His rap sheet includes third-degree assault, resisting arrest, and driving without a license. Under President Trump and Secretary Noem, if you break the law, you will face the consequences. Obviously. Jasper County Sheriff's Office accused of kidnapping Carthage soccer coach Frank De La Pena under traffic stop pretense. The incident has ignited a call to action in Carthage, Missouri. Just typical propaganda. And not the good one. Obviously not the good propaganda. That's the bad. That's bad. All right, so from the GOP, GE, General Electric Appliances, is investing over $3 billion in creating 1,000 new American jobs. Let's go, GE. We got to beef up those numbers, man. That's just a jumping off point. 1,000, hell, dude. 10,000, 20, 30,000. Bring them all back. Let's get them all back. Avoid those tariffs. GE Appliances is investing more than $3 billion over the next 5 years to expand its U.S. operations, aligning with the Trump administration's efforts to bring manufacturing back to American soil. The investment is the second largest in the company's history and will support the expansion of its air conditioning and water heating portfolio, increasing production across all product lines, and modernize 11 U.S. manufacturing plants. The first phase will roll out at facilities in Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and South Carolina. GE Appliances CEO Kevin Nolan told Fox Business that companies today should be thinking about building a more responsive and efficient supply chain by bringing more of it to the U.S. Well, plus, you've got American security, you got the American military, you've got our economy, you've got American citizens. It's just a win on all fronts if you just do business and if you manufacture inside the United States. Plus, you don't have to worry about the CCP constantly looking over your shoulder, showing up in your offices in the middle of the night, just stealing shit out of the file cabinets, which they do. They do that all the time. I mean, you're operating on Chinese soil. Chinese soil, no Chinese citizen owns their own property. It's all owned by the CCP. Everything is. So it would be a little bit advantageous if you were to manufacture here. Not to say GE is exclusively manufacturing in China. I don't know. Maybe they're doing most of their manufacturing in Canada for all I know, but I'm just saying you got a lot of protection in the United States if you just manufacture here. Plus, you're putting your fellow citizens to work too, and keeping them employed. Anyway, this starts a virtuous cycle, he said, noting that when more companies manufacture locally, suppliers are likely to follow. GE's appliances investments are part of the company's broader zero-distance strategy to reduce the gap between its operations and its customers. Way to go, man. I hope every company starts getting on board with that. In June, it announced plans to shift production of clothes washers from China to its Kentucky manufacturing complex. Wow. It's almost as if I read this, but I didn't. I really didn't. Didn't have time to read it. In South Carolina, the Camden plant will add electric and hybrid water heaters, doubling output and employment by 2026. In Tennessee, new air conditioner models will be added to the air and water production portfolio. The Georgia plant is adding capacity for gas and induction ranges, wall ovens, and cooktops, bringing gas range production back from Mexico. Those are probably not going to be shipped up to New York because New York, they passed some law where they're not allowed to install gas mains anymore or gas hookups. Apparently, if you get a new house built in New York, it's apparently illegal for them to install gas lines up to your house now. They've lost their fucking minds, man. In Alabama, the Decatur plant will source top freezer refrigerator models. And in Kentucky, the company is investing $490 million to launch combo washer dryer and front load washer production, creating 800 new jobs. Altogether, GE Appliances will have invested $6.5 billion in total in its U.S. manufacturing and distribution network since 2016, adding more than 4,000 jobs, with 1,000 more expected from its latest investment. So GE, they've got the receipts to back it up. They've got the history to back it up. They're coming back. The company says it contributes over $30 billion annually to U.S. GDP and supports more than 113,000 jobs directly and indirectly. President Trump has been reshaping global trade norms to boost manufacturing on U.S. soil by imposing tariffs on imported goods, so on and so forth. So there's a little bit more information left there in the article if you want to go check it out for yourself. It's on foxbusiness.com. And we will head back over to the list and see what we got. Got a little bit more to get through, but I think we're getting fairly close to wrapping up here. So this is David Fotoe. Am I saying that right? Fotoe? He's from the EPA. He's the deputy administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA is relaunching the guidance portal shuttered under the Biden administration. The portal centralizes documents from across headquarters programs, giving the public a clear, searchable resource for the agency's active policies. Our goal is to improve transparency and help stakeholders quickly locate key regulatory guidance. You can read more here on EPA.gov. I mean, it's ridiculous that the Biden administration would do that. It's almost as if they don't want us reading certain things that they might be up to. I don't know. Oh, crap, what's going on? It's not letting me zoom in anymore. What the hell's going on here? Okay. I don't know what's up with this. I don't know why it's not letting me do that. That's weird. It's done something. All right, so today, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is announcing the relaunch of EPA's guidance portal, a streamlined website for accessing important guidance documents related to air quality, water protection, hazardous waste management, and more. It was launched in President Trump's first term to promote transparency. Oh, that's why, because Orange Man bad. Trump derangement syndrome. It was abruptly shuttered and removed from the public viewing during the Biden-Harris administration. The website serves as a resource for all guidance documents managed across EPA's headquarters environmental programs. It is designed to be a one-stop shop to help users and small businesses easily and quickly locate and follow EPA's active guidance documents on topics of interest. Yeah, kind of a good thing. Transparency, you know? Quote, this guidance portal will ensure that we reduce bureaucratic hurdles and increase transparency for everyone seeking information about EPA's programs and providing centralized access to guidance documents, said EPA or Deputy Administrator David Fotoe. This will bring much needed clarity to small business owners, farmers, and everyday Americans as it reinforces our commitment to following the law and upholding fundamental fairness. The days of EPA relying on obscure and non-public guidance documents are over. Good. EPA guidance documents inform the public how the agency interprets an underlying statute and its regulations and take the form of memoranda, policy statements, handbooks, manuals, and other documents formally titled as guidance. Guidance documents that have been superseded with newer guidance are not included in the updated website. The launch of the guidance portal is the next step in the ongoing overall review of reducing unnecessary regulatory burdens. Please see EPA's guidance portal for additional information. And they've got some background information there briefly to check out. The link is going to be below. So we're going to check out Adam Shifty Schiff. So Donald Trump is terrified of losing his majority in the midterms. His solution? Demand Republicans in Texas redraw their lines. If their partisan redistricting succeeds, California must respond, and we will. What a dick. And that's what they're talking about. They're talking about redistricting California, gerrymandering, actually. They're talking about gerrymandering California to lose 5 more Republican seats. But anyway, let's hear what this asshole has to say.
You're probably tracking this, but Texas wants to gerrymander their maps again.
As if California hasn't already.
Mid-decade reapportionment. And why? Because Donald Trump is terrified he's going to lose the majority in the House of Representatives.
He's such a loser.
And they're going to lose it because of that big, ugly bill that massively cut health care for millions of people. That's going to dramatically raise health insurance
Mr. Shifty Shift Fraud.
The food they took from hungry families, the tax cuts.
How are those mortgage interest rates treating you?
The fact they're going to blow up the deficit
fraud,
and
wire
debt,
fraud.
All of that is so deeply unpopular.
Fucking
they're
fraud.
Convinced they can't hold the House unless they redo the lines in Texas and try to grab more Republican seats, even though
I somehow doubt
the
that.
lines in Texas are already gerrymandered to elect Republicans. Now, if they go forward with this, as it looks like they will.
Why the fuck do you care, dude? You're supposed to be talking about California, dummy.
We need to do our own mid-decade reapportionment. It's sad, tragic that we would have to go down that road, but if Texas acts, we have to act. Otherwise,
but what do you say about all these sanctuary cities and all these illegal immigrants that you're trying to import into your city so you can pick up congressional seats? What about that?
Votes are diluted.
We don't want to talk about that.
Influence because they're rigging the game in other states. So we will have to go forward. I hope at the end of this that we have a national redistricting reform that ends the gerrymander all across the country.
Oh, all across the country. Okay, I actually agree with you. We actually should do that. We should go into Illinois and go into California, go into New York,
They go up into New England and Maine. I think Massachusetts, New Jersey's another one. I think Pennsylvania's another one. Yeah, we should all across the country. 100% stand with you on that one. Let's get rid of all this gerrymandering bullshit, and it's going to benefit Republicans a hell of a lot more.
That would simply require an act of Congress. We should have done it during the first 2 years of the Biden administration, and we damn well are going to need to get it done in the future. But if
it's so funny, dude, all this shit that they keep advocating for, they don't realize that they're really just going to end up shooting themselves in the foot. And the same thing goes with the Jeffrey Epstein documents. Those people on those client lists, they're not a bunch of conservatives. And I'm sure Trump's not on that list anyway, because if he was, they sure as shit would have released it back when Kamala Harris was trying to run, or even back when Hillary Clinton was trying to win. Absolutely would have released that shit.
Texas goes down that terrible road, California will have to respond, because we have to look out for our interests and can't let them rig the game.
Yeah, so in other words, it doesn't matter if Californians want that to happen or not. It doesn't matter that 25% of California are consisted of Republican voters. At least 25% of those who are registered in California are Republicans. To hell with them. We don't give a shit about them. So we're just going to do it because we have to win. No matter what, we have to win. So what about all the American citizens living in California who just happen to be registered Republicans? Well, we don't give a fuck about them. Yeah, obviously not. So anyway, if you're terrified, you're terrified of prison, oh, I'm sure he is. I hope prison's coming. Let's just say I don't have the highest of hopes that he's going to see prison, but he's got a lot of charges that are stacking up against him. Just his fraud, his mortgage fraud shit, he could be facing at least 10 years in prison for that. That's if the judge, or if they find him guilty on those charges, and if the judge gives him the average sentence, not the maximum. If it's the maximum, he's looking at a lot more than that. But the 10 years is only based on the average sentence that people get for bank fraud, wire fraud, mortgage fraud, all that shit that he's facing. And yeah, that doesn't even include other bullshit that he's wrapped up in, like the Russia collusion shit. Anyway, oh yeah, and also the Burisma Holdings. They found out that he's tangled up with that shit too over in Ukraine, the whole Hunter Biden thing. Yeah, Adam Schiff was getting money out of that too. Anyway, do you have any real idea about the serious legal trouble you are facing? If you think your saving grace is winning the midterm House and Senate, that will not help you whatsoever. More evidence is piling up against you every day, it seems. That's really the reason why they're going to try so desperately to try to get the midterms. Democrats are going to try desperately to try to clinch the midterms and get control of Congress back, because people like Adam Schiff, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, James Clapper, James Comey, Barack Obama. All these people, man, they're facing some serious shit. They really are. And it's unfortunately a process that's probably not going to be completed in the coming months. It's probably something that's going to drag on for probably longer than the upcoming midterms, to say the least. Uh-oh. That would not surprise me. Okay, that was a little hot for YouTube. Let's skip past that one. Hey, Adam, how did the director of the CIA job go for you? Ooh, that's right. Hillary lost. Trump foiled your plans, and you've been a sad, pencil-necked little man ever since. Don't worry, though. You'll get all the police training you need soon on the other side of the bars, of course. Can't wait to see your mugshot. Let's see. Fucking clowns pull the gerrymandering shit all the time. You have for decades. Illinois is especially guilty of it. Look up Mike Madigan. Or Madigan. He's mad again. He's always mad. Now the Republicans do it, and all of a sudden you want to sound the alarm. Get fucked, dude. Yep. I'm going to try to quickly go. Oh, yeah, that was that goofy ass. Yep, that's a classic. Let me get this straight, Mr. Shifty. Your party is allowed to redraw districts in its favor, but the GOP isn't. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. They absolutely can do that. That's by their mind. Because there's no truth but power, we must win at all costs, no matter what. Are you sweating your impending arrest, Shifty Schiff? You're going to jail. No one is above the law. That's not exactly true. There's a lot of people who should have been arrested and thrown in prison, but they haven't. Nothing left to gerrymander, or as the VP says, there's not a lot of juice left in that lemon. Your upcoming mugshot will be glorious. Yep. Vice President just exposed
the major flaw in Democrats' plan to gerrymander blue states even more. Oh, really? Yeah, let's take a look at that.
We think they will, and we're obviously supporting them every step of the way.
But do you worry that as Republicans do that, the Democrat blue states are going to do the
same thing? I don't think I caught this segment.
And then we'll have redistricting in California, New Jersey, and so on.
You know, Maria, there's just not a whole lot of juice left out of that lemon. The Democrats have already gone as far as they possibly can. Let me give you a crazy statistic. So I believe that it's in New Jersey, Illinois, New York, California, and there's one other Democrat state.
I think Pennsylvania, maybe.
Those 5 states, you have
definitely Maine.
A large number of Democrat representatives. But here's the crazy statistic: President Trump won 43% of those 5 states, and Democrats have something like 85% of the representatives out of those states. You cannot gerrymander these far left states anymore, and that's the whole point. We have unilaterally disarmed in the Republican Party. We have said to the Democrats, if you want to rig the game in your favor in blue states, go ahead. We're going to do nothing to fight back against it. That's crazy. It makes it harder for us to pass our agenda. It makes it harder for us to win elections. And most importantly, it gives Democrats this ability to run roughshod over the country without any pushback from the American people.
Well, not to mention it strips the individual power away from the people that live in those states. They don't have equal rights, and that's what this country's all about.
The democratic system in this country is broken because who you vote for doesn't necessarily get reflected in who your representatives are. We're just trying to rebalance the scales and, frankly, push back against a very unfair system created by the Democrats.
Unbelievable. Let me move on to foreign policy.
Yeah, and I mean, how do you undo that in a state like California or Illinois when you don't have enough Republicans who would have the ability to redraw those district maps? It's too heavily Democrat. I guess you really would just have to just get the people to just simply flip those districts back to red. I mean, that's probably all you could really do. And I don't know, man, good luck with that, especially in California in their public education system. They've got to be brainwashing damn near everybody that's coming out of those schools. The same with all the other blue states for that matter. He's panicking like a cockroach when the lights come on. Yep. I was hoping to get across that list of those states. I figured it probably would have been mentioned down here somewhere, but I really don't know. Doesn't look like it is. But yeah, he's getting bodied down in these comments. Absolutely eviscerated. All right, so that's that. So let's move on to Eric Swallowswell, Rep. Eric Swallowswell. More bullshit in service to Trump to try and keep me quiet. Come get me, Cash. This Trump stooge long ago put me at the top of his book's enemies list. This nonsense is just more of that. I won't be silent. So, and that's in regard to, here, let me make this a little bit bigger. Dude, that's really irritating me. I mean, I'm holding the control and I'm scrolling, trying to zoom in a little bit. Maybe I have to restart the browser. I'd really rather not right now, but all right. So, I have obtained a newly declassified FBI interview summary from 2017 about intelligence leaks from the Russia probes. While the interview subject's name is withheld, it appears to be a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. According to the FBI report known as 302, redacted, noted Swallowswell had been the source of a lot of leaked information and had to be counseled to be more careful. Yeah. Well, plus he was banging Chinese spies too. I have reached out to staff for Rep. Swalwell Congressman for comment. These FBI records were also provided by FBI Director Kash Patel to Congress. And let me just open that up in a new tab. And so what they got highlighted here, it says, noted Swalwell has been the source of a lot of leaked information and had to be counseled to be more careful. All right. This was from August the 2nd of 2017. Like right in the middle of the Russian collusion bullshit. Oh yeah, okay, so here we go. These are the actual documents. And it looks like there's 5 in total on Scribe. So that's the one that they had highlighted. And yeah, it's a lot to read through. They didn't redact to the point where it's illegible. You should be able to get some good info out of this if you feel like reading it. By way of background, circa October 2016, staff member House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence was told by various HPSCI staff colleagues if Hillary Clinton were to win the election, Representative Adam Schiff would be offered the position of the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Good God, what a nightmare. Things changed after the election. Schiff believed Russia hijacked the election and the United States was in the middle of a constitutional crisis. Classified information began leaking to the media. The Democratic minority leadership of HPSCI was aware of the leaks, but was under the impression that leaking the information was one way to topple the administration and fix the constitutional crisis. Holy shit. All right. So anyway, this is from the FBI. Official record from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That's going to be linked below too. Just look for scribed.com down in the links. Yeah, man, some crazy shit. Let's see. Is there any fun to have with the comments down here? Yeah, there it is. There's the Chinese spy right there. You're the biggest parasite in DC, Swalwell. Again, dummy, we don't want you to be silent. Keep talking. If we give you enough rope, you'll handle yourself. Yeah, he probably will, to be honest. It's actually a really good point. Someone would be doing a public service by shutting your dumb, whining cuck ass up. You sound scared, bro. If I was you, I'd be silent. Grok, can you remind Mr. Smallswell about the criminal penalties for espionage? Yeah, let's find out. Let's see. Under the U.S. Espionage Act, penalties for gathering or transmitting national defense information include fines and up to 10 years in prison per count. For aiding a foreign nation, it can be life imprisonment or death in wartime. Rep. Swalwell, consider this a reminder. Holy shit, man. Even Grok said, consider this a reminder. Way to go, Grok. That was kind of a curveball. All right, I got to move past that one. See, I got to be careful in these fucking comments, man. People are getting wild, man. This is not Twitter 2017 anymore. Oh, man, shit's gotten a lot more free speech. You fucking people were out in every... you fucking people were out in front of every camera you could find shooting off your mouth. Do you think we don't remember? You were so stupid and you were going down. Go ahead, just keep on spouting your lies. We'll just be more ammunition against you. Yep. You can't take your lady glasses with you to prison. Are you like in the 7th grade and have a vagina? Didn't you do a spy? Yeah. Your little pansy ass will be real popular in prison. Bend over, buttercup. Scream like a bitch. You were about to become in prison. All right. Anyway, also getting bodied in the comments. So let's see. I think we're starting to get a little closer to the bottom here. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Trump sending in the U.S. military to take over our nation's capital as a test run to target other major cities. This is the work of an authoritarian deploying the National Guard to silence dissent in D.C. and militarize black neighborhoods. We cannot normalize this. Oh man, the hyperbolic rhetoric, good grief. They so mad that Trump is trying to fight crime. Dude, they love crime. They love it when their constituents are vulnerable, when they're weak, when they're desperate, when they're poor. Because they're communists, man. They're communists. That's what they are. They've full-on jumped into the pool of communism. That's what they are now. I guess he wants the other major cities to be safe too, huh, dumbass? By the way, why are Democrats opposed to making Americans safer in their cities? Amen. We need the U.S. military to take over from the Redcoats before we, the people, are forced to go to war with our own employees who are off their chain. Hopefully the National Guard will start arresting the traitors and infiltrators like you and deport you back to your slave-infested desert. Ooh, spicy. They said, I voted for this. Yes, we can and we should. Read the Constitution. You cheered for even worse not that long ago. So they took this quote from her. I get that we're all tired of lockdown, of being away from our loved ones, etc., but we've got to keep doing our part just a little while longer. Socially distance. We can do this. We've got to do this. When was this posted? It's just an image. I don't know. Something tells me that was probably in like November or December of freaking 2020, after they've been locked down for damn near a freaking year. Get the F out of my country. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, normalize crime. Good. White people live in cities too. Jesus willing. Dearborn, Michigan is on the list. Democrats are the enemy of the United States. Amen. They are. It's sad. It's not the way that I would have chosen for them. It'd be nice if they still were on this side of common sense, reason, and rationality, but nope. Hell no, man. They've overdosed on so many fucking blue pills at this point. All right. So this is from Lithuanian MOD. We are growing the infrastructure U.S. troops need in Lithuania. Lithuania? We've got U.S. troops in Lithuania? Well, I get it. We have troops all over the place. I think we have military bases in like 70 different countries across the world. From new barracks and dining halls to training grounds and storage, the Pabarad training area is set to expand under a joint Lithuania U.S. 20-year development plan. 20 years? Good grief. I don't know, man. Maybe we should be bringing our troops back home. Oh, it's all about NATO, isn't it? It's a whole NATO thing. All right. So, yeah, anyway, that's going on. So, Brussels Media Hub. Secretary Rubio spoke with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov regarding the preparation for the upcoming summit between the president and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Both sides confirmed their commitment to ensure a successful event. I believe it's just an image. So I'm sure that was probably a behind closed doors kind of conversation that they were having. Oh, this is interesting. This comes from the White House. This is from the White House. Bad boys, ICE is going to come for you. I know this is going to get copyrighted. I know it is, but I'm just going to have to play it. But all right, let's hear it.
Viewer discretion.
Let's hear that copyright. Okay. Yeah, gonna do when they come for you. Bad boys, what you gonna do? They come for you. This legit could be an episode of Cops, man. Only better. Come for you.
This special edition of Immigration and Customs Enforcement is filmed on location with the men and women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Oh, yeah, that's legit. Fucking A. All right. So let's go to Secretary Linda McMahon. Let's return education to the states so governors like Sarah Huckabee can help students succeed through school choice and hands-on programs that prepare them for in-demand careers. You know what's crazy? Not crazy, but you know what's amazing about this post? That Secretary Linda McMahon is the Secretary of Education. She's the head of the Federal Department of Education. And that is a post that I would have never, probably my whole lifetime, would have ever expected to have seen from the head of the Federal Department of Education. This is such a white pill to read that. Here, let's see what she says.
They discussed the change to the Department of Education and if the governor and secretary felt there would be negative impacts from that.
There's Governor Huckabee right there.
Saying that education
Huckabee
should
saying
be left up to the states. And by changing the way the U.S. Department of Education operates, more money will be then in the hands of states to do what they feel is best for the people of their state.
Good.
We know that.
Well, back once upon a time before the Federal Department of Education was implemented, 1970s, late 70s, the United States had the best educational system in the whole world. We were the best. We were the best in the world for education. Arguably, maybe somebody might say, well, Japan was kind of better, but maybe Scandinavia was a little better. However, our education system was way better. It was way better performing back when the states controlled the education, not the federal government.
One-size-fits-all education system doesn't work.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
What they need in California
because they
and
want
New York
communism.
is really different than what some of the students
they want us to all be a bunch of commie bastards.
Need.
And for instance, now there are some grants that can be coming to states that have more flexibility than ever before. Governors have an opportunity to say, I think I could use this money better somewhere else. Can I submit a waiver relative to those grants?
Secretary McMahon says that she is going state to state to learn the best practices each one has, hoping to spread them with others. You can watch more of Caroline's exclusive interview tonight on KRK4 News at 6 o'clock.
That's Tom Cotton, I think, right? Good news, man. Good news. Freaking awesome. So this is from the U.S. Army, the D.C. National Guard reporting for duty. The U.S. Army has activated the D.C. National Guard as directed by the president under Title 32 to assist federal and Washington, D.C. law enforcement within the national capital. U.S. Army photos by Staff Sergeant Deontay Rowell, August 12th of 2025. There they are in our nation's capital. That is the National Guard. They are all ready, reporting for duty, ready to fight crime. All good news, man. All good news. And that is all that I have for the day. So, at least I don't think I have anything else. Nope, I think I'm good.
I think that's it. That's all we got for today. So if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's a brand new channel. I would really appreciate it. It'd mean the world to me if you subscribe to the channel. And I do a new show every evening covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians, the bureaucrats, the agencies, and everything else. I also post daily episodes to my X account, so feel free to comment over there also if you'd like. And that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless America.